verbrannt.
Wherefore did that you say?
I poisoned the brew.
The old woman holds up a small bottle of poison. All around, the Inquisitor, the crowd, start to moan. It is a different type of death to the Black Death, however.
Ye deathly doomed the fray?
Holding the antidote.
The old woman passes both bottles to Bess.
To cure them, I may.
Once from hell! Burn Lucifer away! Well, that was a bit exaggerated, no?
Fantastic.
Good, it is good. Maybe we should ask the singers to do it like that.
Yeah? Just stop singing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So,
So on this podcast today, what we're going to be discussing?
Bess.
And mostly we're going to be discussing like the script and a little bit about the story and the characters.
Yeah, a bit of the interest of the production and what is this opera actually and why we did it and yeah, all the things that are kind of curious about it.
So that's a good question. What is Bess?
Well, Bess is an opera. It's just a kind of a story told with music and the characters sing, basically, which is just.
That's what Bess is?
Yes.
Ollie, what do you think Bess is?
I mean, exactly that, really. It's an opera about a character called Bess. And everyone's singing.
Okay, we just said like kind of what is the obvious thing. No, but Bess is just it's curious because it's just the first ever opera written about beers, specifically about beer. And this opera is like kind of a collaboration between Dig Brew and Infinite Opera. So we just wanted just to create something new in the world of opera.
Right.
But still kind of basing kind of the creation of this process like kind of with the traditional of opera, what opera is. But we just wanted just to give it a twist. So, well, that sounds kind of yeah, it was great. So.
Who is it for?
Well, it's for everybody,
Okay.
but the idea here is like kind of to kind of bring opera then a bit to earth, like kind of avoid kind of this idea of just going to the big theater to kind of experience the massive opera with a big orchestra and thousands of singers and kind of all this kind of massive kind of ritual, which is kind of going to a full opera.
Yeah.
This is like kind of by bringing the opera to a brewery, it's like kind of we just bring it a bit down to earth, and it's like kind of feels like kind of it's a bit more open to everybody because we just bring opera to a different location, something that is more in the usual kind of style of life of people. Like going to the brewery, getting a beer, but why not getting an opera here? Just while you enjoy a beer, just watch an opera about beer
Why not?
itself. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seemed to make kind of ridiculous sense, really, when we were speaking about it. Opera means work, or to work, I believe. And that's kind of the same sort of, you come to the brewery and get the beer, and it's where the work is done, where it's been made is what you're kind of, you're buying into as much as the liquid that you're drinking.
Yeah.
Seemed like a nice bit of, I don't know, like a trivial kind of connection, which actually...
Yeah, actually, we were discussing the other day about this kind of connection between kind of this kind of opera that we're doing here with the craft beer kind of scene, because it's like kind of compared to the big kind of industrial kind of beer world. It's like kind of a bit just working here a bit with a lot of love into the thing you're doing, just putting a lot of work and just really taking care of a drink that somehow is related to the industry and the kind of all the history of beer. But you are just trying just to give it a twist, make it different, make it like really exciting, dynamic. So, in a way, like kind of that's what we try to do as well with the opera, like kind of still related to the big opera world, what opera is and has been. We are trying just to create something a bit smaller in scale, well, massively smaller in scale compared to the big theaters, but bringing here to the brewery, just doing an opera with 4 main singers and then a little chorus, a little orchestra of 7-8 people, but still with a big kind of commitment into the work itself. Like trying to create something of really great quality related to what beer, what opera was, what like a craft beer to beer, but this kind of opera or craft opera that we could call like related to what opera has been. So
yeah. And I think you mentioned the word ritual, the ritual of going to the opera, and it's not kind of, I don't see it as a instead of the ritual, it's just a reconfiguration of that ritual. And the thing that interests me, I suppose, most about craft beer, there's the alchemy of making it all, but there's the ritual of drinking it and sharing it with friends and with family and having the space where people can come. It's like it's kind of like trying to heighten that ritual. When you're connected to where it's made, you have a much kind of closer relationship with what everyone has a much closer relationship with what it is that they're doing, and I think that's how rituals are kind of born.
You can really see what beer is and what opera is when you come here to experience it. Like you see how it's made, you see the tanks and everything. Like you're right up next to the stage and you can see everybody working. You really understand what they're doing. It's quite. It's much more interesting as an audience to have that perspective than to just be like sat really far away and get like a distant image of something.
Yeah, and if you're here 5 minutes before the start of it, you'll see us kind of
crazy.
yes, crazy, like
making a stage.
Yeah, but I completely see that because this kind of opera that we do here is just has this kind of same goal or similar goal, like coming here to brewery and just sharing this opera with your family, friends, instead of just going to the big opera house in which you mostly go just for kind of this aesthetically personal experience, like kind of high art, kind of a once in life, maybe hopefully not a once in life opera experience, but here like kind of a bit more relaxed environment, more friendly, and there's like something just to share with friends.
Like if you need the loo, there's going to be a scene change, you can go to the loo.
Yeah.
Or like if you want to sit back in your seat, like it's a bar, and you could probably lie on the bench. No one will care. So yeah.
You can eat while you watch the opera, like a banquet style.
If you have like ADHD, you can stand up and jiggle about. Like, sit back down.
Well, in a way, it's almost like kind of the old theatre tradition, like in which people went to the theatre with their family, friends, and they were just drinking, eating. So it's a bit kind of related to the past in a way. So I mean, it's like something new, but it's related to the past as well, and related so.
Exactly. I think we should probably move on.
Yes.
Yeah. So next we were going to talk about the different characters in the opera and how they relate to beer.
Yes.
So if we start with Bess.
Well, we started with a little conversation between Bess and the old witch.
Yeah,
I hope by the kind of voice you can guess who was doing the witch, or what was the kind of the witch character. I think was pretty obvious.
Ollie was doing the witch.
Bess is normally much better acted than.
It was all amazing. We should recast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should do a version like this of Bess, just a voiceover of the whole script, just doing it like this.
Definitely. So all of the main characters in the story were based on like the different components of making beer. So and there's like the way they are kind of relates to like what happens to those components of beer during the process of brewing. So Bess is actually I guess we should start with.
Can I make a quick point?
Yeah.
You are the librettist.
Oh, yeah.
So you really know what you're talking about because you were creating these characters from scratch and you really wanted just to put this kind of idea in there. Yeah. So I mean, you're like kind of the the person to talk about it. Yeah. So I really want to kind of lift your figure as the kind of the it's not like just somebody that's discussing it just for fun. No, you're the actual creator of that. So like the actual mind behind that crazy idea, which is just kind of a personification of beer into opera.
Yeah. Well, it really helps if you're writing a script to have like something to form the characters around. Otherwise, you're just like, it's a person. I don't know who they are. So, so Bess is the yeast, and the old woman is the malt, and then we have Camille, who's the husband, and he is the hops, and then the fourth character is like basically the whole angry crowd, and they are the water. And then Camille kind of gets replaced halfway through by the Inquisitor, who is also really bitter and horrible. So, so Bess is the yeast. Is like
maybe the Inquisitor is the heat.
Is the heat?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or maybe the temperature. I don't know.
It could be.
Yeah. Because in a way, it kind of helps.
Maybe it's
everything.
like. No, that wouldn't do it, would it? I don't know. I was gonna say maybe it's like calcium carbonate or something. but
Yeah.
then-
Well, the Inquisitor was a kind of an addition that we made. We'll
Yeah.
tell about that
Anyway,
later
we'll
because
talk about
there's a
that.
kind of a funny story behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So BESSE is the yeast is like causing a lot of stuff like and disturbance to happen around her, and she's always like causing this massive reaction, which eventually like comes back upon her and is quite destructive towards her. And then the old woman, as the malt, is like always feeding BESSE to get her to do shit and like cause all of this reaction to happen. And then Camille, as the hops, is like he's really bitter. He tries to cleanse the scenario. Like when the crowd come and accuse BESSE, he's trying to like appease everything. But he's also really nasty and bitter. And then not that hops are nasty and bitter, but
They can be.
they can be. Yeah.
If you want them to.
Yeah. And then the crowd is water. They're there like as if this fluid throughout the whole thing, and like BESSE wouldn't be there without like nothing. There would be no reaction without the water. Like that's the thing that is reacting all the time.
But as far as I understand, like kind of hops are removed from the brewer, right? At some point.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want them in the beer because it would be quite unpleasant.
Does it have a reflection that on the opera?
Well, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
It would
That would be a spoiler.
That
I
would be
would
a
say.
spoiler. So I think I already spoiled it. But yeah. So those are the characters. So yeah. I mean, we have some like different.
Yeah, but the crowd also,
yeah.
the water becomes alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's spoiler.
That's really clever from your part.
Yeah. So everything
Yes.
possibly
Reacts.
gets really drunk.
Yes.
Or, yeah. Yeah. So we had actually like interestingly we had all these different beers brewed for the opera, like initially, and one of the beers was using like a really ancient yeast, but unfortunately that ancient yeast was like too old and decided to die.
Was this the
Yeah.
beer that we made?
Yeah.
It was actually a malt that we had used.
Oh, it was the malt.
Yeah. The yeast was okay, but the malt we used was I won't go into too much detail to
So what happened?
expose a malt supplier who we
Oh,
were otherwise very
right.
happy
We
with.
should probably not do that then.
No, it's fine, but it was a
yeah.
kind of a very old type of malt, very old-fashioned heritage malt, which normally works absolutely fine. However, we were trying to make a really kind of full-bodied, to the point of chewiness
Oh, really?
IPA, which one of the kind of requirements of the recipe for that is to mash in, which is when you first introduce the water and the malt
Yeah.
to one another. We're doing that really, really, really hot, about 69 degrees, which results in a beer that's full of larger strain sugars that the yeast would normally not be able
Right.
to consume,
Yeah.
and it would stay in the beer. It would give the beer some residual sweetness, but it would most importantly give the beer like a thick
Well,
mouthfeel.
that's when you need to like add some spit to it to give it some enzymes.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, we didn't have enough of the correct enzyme, so we should have spat in it.
Yeah. Because
The
they
problem is that that process was far too effective on that
use-
that malt, and I think it stopped fermenting in the high 30s, which would mean it was like drinking syrup,
okay.
unfortunately. But we'll
That's a
live and
shame.
we'll learn.
Yeah, I quite liked it. It was quite sweet. It tasted a bit like Horlicks.
Well, yeah. And it wasn't going to change anytime soon, so we had to scrap it.
But we have to say the other beers, they were really good.
They were
and
really
they
good,
were
yeah.
also related to the opera itself.
Yeah, all of the names of the beers had like.
But also we
Okay.
had the idea of just using the beer as a prop. And for
Yeah.
example, the first beer, Hazel's Revenge, was a raspberry sour with a bit of
Red
strawberry
fruit.
that you didn't really like.
We used lots of fruit for that one. It was raspberry, strawberry, red currant,
Cherry?
and cranberry, and cherry.
That's great beer. But also the idea of that
You can
behind
still buy
that.
it here at Dig
Yeah.
Brew.
Well, this is Hathal's Revenge 2.
Exactly. Oh yeah, sorry.
The
That
return.
Been
Yeah.
re-released.
Reload it.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
But the idea behind that was that the actual beer was serving as a prop, so we needed to trigger the action. Everything in the opera is triggered by just some
Right.
rotten beer.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, thing that doesn't happen here at Dig Brew. No.
Well, I mean,
No.
there must have been loads of weird and often rotten beers back in, because this is set in medieval time.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about the temperature required for mashing, but
Yes.
they didn't have thermometers. So
No.
it's crazy how they managed to brew, really, with precision. I guess they just knew the yeasts really, really well.
Yeah, I suppose as well. Maybe there was a lot of raw beers. I mean, when we boil the worts, we'll boil for a minimum of an hour, like a rolling 100-degree boil, which it's quite intense really in terms of the amount of fuel that you need to do that. And I suppose in a cauldron back in the Middle Ages and before that, you might not be able to do that so easily.
Yeah.
So the yeast doesn't need the wort to have been boiled for it to consume the sugars.
No.
You boil it to eliminate some off flavors and to concentrate it down and caramelize some of the sugars and to kind of cook the proteins out. But I suppose back then there would have been a lot of raw.
Yeah, they
as
didn't
they're
boil
called.
it. Yeah.
So they you can make.
In
I
fact,
really
one
do
of
want
the
to make a
lines
raw
is-
beer
Oh,
here.
really?
It's just a bit of a head scratcher really to kind of figure out.
How to do it.
Well, if we're willing to take the risk on all of the unknowns,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to try it. Maybe we can do it specially for the. We
Yeah.
can do a small. We can get a homebrew
That'd
pit
be
in and
cool.
do a raw IPA.
Yeah, give it a go.
Well, talking about medieval beer, maybe we should talk about the medieval elements of the opera.
Of the opera, yeah.
So, librettist, you are the expert on the
medieval-
actual kind of text of the opera.
Yeah, so within the text of the opera, there's a lot of Middle English words, which was funny because after each show, everyone would always come up, quite a few people would come up to me and be like, "Oh, you had quite a few typos in your subtitles."
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah,
I know.
it's just Middle English, and I'd just like to say thank you to the Middle English compendium because it really helped me write the script. So. And yeah, so there's quite a lot of words in there. I was going to maybe just go through some of the words that are Middle English.
And for that, we have created, well, you have created, because I didn't do anything on that,
Oh yeah,
you have created the game,
yes. Middle versus dribble.
Middle, and Gribble. Gribble? No,
Dribble.
Gribble. Dri,
Drip.
Dri, Dri,
Drip.
Vol,
Dribble.
B or V?
D.
D,
Drip.
Driddle,
Oh no, dribble.
Driddle, Driddle,
Dribble.
Driddle,
I think you
Gribble.
need more bit.
Maybe. And why not medieval instead of middle?
Oh, because it's Middle English. It goes beyond the medieval.
Okay.
So.
Middle.
Middle.
Dribble, dribble.
It's like,
Dribble or middle?
it's middle and dribble.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to tell me which is which.
So, the game,
Okay.
middle and dribble. Did I say it correctly?
Middle versus dribble.
Okay, well, she said it correctly.
It's a battle.
A battle. Who's battling? Middle or dribble?
Are we on the same team?
Yeah, you could be.
Okay.
We're
no,
we're
do you
battling.
want-
We're battling
oh, no.
ignorance.
Should we have two different teams? What could your prize be?
No, I don't know. I rather prefer like kind of battling ignorance.
Okay, no, I'm just going to say it and then you can press your buzzer if you think you know if it's middle or dribble.
Should I add the buzzer on possible?
What's your buzzer going to be?
Like nyeh, or something like that.
Okay, no, just maybe now your buzzer is meh. And then what would your buzzer be?
I don't know.
You could say that. I
Do
don't
you
know.
want me to do a button for you? And then
Yeah, I'd give you the indication that I
okay,
want.
then I'm gonna do the button always for me, so I'm gonna just completely.
Right, that ruins the whole game.
I think we should be able to confer. There might be some good.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Con-
So
Content
we're
in the
battling
conferring.
ignorance,
Alright, okay.
basically.
So
Otherwise
you're
you might-
battling me.
Yes.
Okay. Alright, number one. Okay, middle versus dribble. I'll read my own writer. Okay, here we go. Congraft.
Congraft.
Oh, actually, but are these words that are in the script? Because
No.
okay, because in that case I would have an advantage.
Yeah, no. Then
Congraft,
congraft.
congraft. I don't know. It sounds a bit kind of completely made up.
I don't think it's. I think that's drivel.
Drivel.
It is middle.
Oh.
Oh, crap.
What does it mean?
Okay, extra point if you can figure out what it means.
Congraft. Congraft. To work together.
Well,
Really?
no,
No,
it doesn't.
congratulations. Congratulations.
No,
Congrats.
it means written down,
Oh.
maybe. Like,
Congraph?
graphic.
Autograph.
Congrats.
Autograph.
Yeah.
But it is spelled with a double F. Anyway, next one.
Right.
Sprillingo.
Sprillinge.
Yeah.
Sprillingo.
Sounds like a noun.
Sprillingo. I could play just safe and just go like all of them they're dribbles, so then at least we get like kind of some percent that's like right.
Oh, no, that's just not fun.
Well, it's far for me because I will just be
like-
right sometimes.
It's like doing a pub quiz and only pressing B all the time.
I feel like it's pretty much 50-50 whether we try or not try. We may as well. Well, we may as well try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
interest
I don't even
of-
remember the
So
word, but I'm gonna
Sprillingo.
say Sprillingo. Okay.
Sprillingo.
So we say like kind of a.
I mean, it's a coin flip. I mean, we may as well say drivel again.
It is dribble.
It is.
Yes.
It is
Good.
dribble.
Any idea what that might mean? Or you
I made it up.
just. Yeah.
But what meaning would you have it?
Sprillingo.
Would you give it? Yeah.
Like a sprightly frog.
Sprillinge. Okay. Like any kind of frog, if it is sprightly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Frockmerry.
Croc-merry.
No, Frockmerry.
Froth. Frothmerry.
Frockmerry.
Maybe we should give the audience a chance.
Frockmerry.
No, like
Like
the audience a chance.
F-R-O.
F-R-O-C-H.
Oh, froth.
Froth.
Frock.
Froth.
No, I feel like that sounds like it could be used in a sentence. Should we say
Okay, let's say
middle?
true.
Middle.
Yeah, middle.
It's dribble.
Oh.
Dribble. You should keep playing like a dribble all the time.
Well, yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do another one. Sleigh shipper.
I think that's true.
Okay, let's go through.
Yeah.
It sounds like it makes enough sense to not be true,
Yes.
but we'll say it's
Middle.
middle.
It is middle.
Yes. We knew it.
Do you know what it means?
No.
Sleigh shipper.
Sleigh shipper.
It sounds something like kind of from a sephard or something like that from the kind of with the just being with the ship.
Oh yeah, it does.
What is it? A noun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like somebody would be a sleigh shipper?
No.
Oh.
I doubt you'll get it.
No.
No.
Yeah. It's wisdom / prudence.
Oh no,
Oh.
we don't got that.
We're battling against that.
That is okay. Gentfully.
Gently.
Let's say middle.
No,
Middle? No,
it's dribble.
it's
Oh.
dribble.
Not dribble.
Gently.
I
It's something I could say with my really bad English, like a gently
Yeah.
something.
think so.
I could use that in a sentence. Gently.
Gently.
Gently. It sounds good.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Okay, should I do one last one? I can't remember what scores are. I think
Oh.
I'm winning.
Probably.
But
I
anyway.
think it's fairly even.
Yeah, I think maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, let's play like if we like kind of is like kind of a win or loss with this one. We're like kind of 50-50 and
Sudden death.
yes, something like that. So we can still win, whatever
Yeah.
happens, or we can still lose, whatever happens.
Gotta pick a good one. Gotta pick a good one.
Don't pick any from the script because I know them. Well, I should.
Okay, let's go for. Okay, Nagoonrie.
Regungie?
Nagoonrie.
I mean, the game theorist is telling me it should be middle for the last one.
Oh, dribble.
I feel like it's just an anticlimax if we end on one that
Hmm.
doesn't mean anything.
That's true. Let's go for middle.
Let's go for middle.
It is middle.
Yes.
I'm so predictable. Okay.
What does it mean?
Parsimony.
First? Oh.
What?
Parsimony.
What's
Parsimony.
parsimony? What's that?
It's like meanness.
Oh.
Like Scrooge was parsimonious.
Ah. And is it meanness for no real? They're just mean.
It's like meanness with the resources, like money or water or knowledge. And a goonery. Okay.
Good. So maybe with the script, maybe we should just move to the last section of today's podcast, which is related to anecdotes, like you writing the last opera in how many days? Like 10 days?
Oh yeah.
Like a 30 minutes, 45 minutes opera script in 10 days?
That was ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, I felt like it was taking way too long as well.
Well, all of this is related to something a bit longer, because basically our idea was just to do 3 operas, and the thing on the first opera we just ended up making it too long.
Yeah, we decided to cut the first opera in half because it was already 2 operas.
So one opera became 2 operas.
Yeah.
When they should be one opera. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had to change the ending, rewrite the last opera, which meant that we had to come up with a new character.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Who was the new character?
The Inquisitor.
Ah.
Well, the thing the main idea was just to create 3 different operas, each one to be premiered in a different month. But the thing when we created the first opera, we just got too excited that we said the 30-minute opera that we had to write, let's make it 1 hour long. And then when we had to rehearsal of that, just to put it on the 8th of March, it was no way we make it on time, no. So we just decided just to cut into. Luckily, the end of the second scene has a good climatic point.
Yeah, it was a good ending.
Yes, holding it, something that is going to be very important.
Yeah, and then everyone was like, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen? Yeah. And then, therefore, we had just to write the last opera. Well, actually...
No, we had longer to write it in, but we just didn't, so...
So basically, you finished the script 2 weeks before the premiere.
Yeah.
And then I finished the music.
Yeah.
Or if the performance was on Friday, I think I finished it on Monday. No.
Yeah.
Let's say Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
I think we're just a really bad team because I'm always like, oh, Dani's only done this much of the music, so I don't need to be at this stage. And Dani's like, oh, Roxanne's only at this stage, so I don't need to be at that stage. And it's just kind of this cycle of procrastination. So that's not helpful. Yeah, did you have any other...
I remember just writing maybe 15 minutes of music in 2-3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about...
That was mad.
I mean, if you think about composers that take 3-4 years to compose a whole opera that is 1 hour and a half long. I mean, I composed 15 minutes in 3 days. And then the whole last opera, 45 minutes in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, or even less, I don't know. But also you're writing the whole script trying to find a way to finish the whole story with no time.
Yeah.
We were just insane.
Yeah, I think we brought that upon ourselves.
Mm.
So. But yeah, do we have any other anecdotes? I had one about
Well, the last performance.
oh yeah. Oh, I was going to say in the last performance, one of the characters showed us their pants, which was
Oh, no.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh. The pants. Showing the pump to the audience.
Yeah, it was actually in a really crucially sad moment.
An important moment of the opera.
Yeah, it was very dramatic, and then there was pants. At least there were pants.
Yeah.
This is Camille.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any anecdotes about the opera so far?
I don't know. There's the.
What was your first impression about the opera?
Yeah.
When
I don't really know what you think of the opera, to be fair.
I mean, it's alright. My first impression was. I don't know. It was yeah, of course. Why not? I think there was an instant kind of connection really, and I never really. I suppose I did think of the space that we're in theatrical terms very much when we were conceiving it and putting it together. There is an element of theatricality walking into a tap room, via a brewery. We expect everybody to come in to see that and to acknowledge it. And the fact that the beers are served directly from the tanks in some instances, the back room with all the kegs is visible, so you can see all of the things that are usually hidden in a pub. It's only really theatre that makes any sense when talking about that. It doesn't make the beer taste any better that you can see the keg. Obviously, there's an element to an enormous element to it is that you get the beer fresh, but it's not necessarily a visual thing. So using the space for theatrical means, not consciously but unconsciously, it was immediate like, yeah, that certainly is something that we'd like to do. And we've always kind of said yes to every opportunity that's kind of come our way, and I think we won't change that anytime soon, given the successes that it brings, such as this.
Right.
I think that'll be my first impression. You just do what Kim tells you, don't you? But it's fantastic, and I think, like you said, when it's not so much. You can't truthfully say that it is, we're doing this because we hate opera and we want to change the whole of opera. So we did it in a brewery, but there's the want or the desire to do something different with opera, and to I suppose bring it to your people in a way that they can get behind.
Like, it's frustrating that most people I know don't really know or care about opera. So it's just like, oh, but why not? I mean, you're the same as me, basically, so it shouldn't really be a massive difference in what we know about it.
But this is not about kind of completely changing the face of opera, like as you said, like kind of from the respect, like kind of to what opera is, just try to kind of show it to our friends and family and people that they come here to the tap room.
I think you said at one point that you should prepare to be freaked out. So
oh yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I think it's given the not confusing, but the kind of the unusual alliance between brewery and opera company to put an opera in breweries, you get an audience with different kind of ability levels in terms of watching opera, and some it's an every month kind of experience, and they are very educated in how to understand what's going on, and they think about your opera in relation to other operas. And then some people regularly come to the tap room and they enjoy just drinking our beers and enjoy the food, and then they think, oh, do you know what, I'll come to that because I like Dig Brew, and it'll be interesting to see what they've been working on with this opera company. And then for them it's the first time they've ever experienced an opera, and every 5 seconds is a new experience for them.
Yeah, we tried to make it very accessible. Like, we have a screen with all the words on it.
Yep.
And obviously you can just understand the story anyway by like all of the drama. Like, it's very exaggerated drama, so hopefully that comes across.
But also like the fact that you can see them like kind of maybe 10 meters from you, and it's like people that you can touch, that they're like kind of drinking with you after the performance. Like, it makes it like kind of really tangible.
Yeah. Opera singers that drink beer.
Yeah. I remember that guy that we met in the door, that he was like, oh, I don't know if getting it, I just wanted to come for a beer, but why not? I'm gonna come. That guy that we met outside, and then after the performance he came to me and he said, that was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. Like, kind of just, I mean, because I think for extra £5 he was just kind of getting like kind of a free beer, then a pizza at the end, and then the opera, and it's like kind of, it's great.
Yeah. And without sounding too weird, there is a really strong sense of community in Digbeth, whether and it makes you feel that. If you don't come here regularly, you come to watch the opera, and there's a big group of people that see each other very regularly, and they're maybe not the best of friends, but we're all kind of aware of one another.
Also, like, we're two separate, quite different types of like companies collaborating with each other within Digbeth, and like, I mean, they they might not know immediately that we're both in Dig Brew, but if they just ask a little bit, they'll realise it's like a very community-based.
Yeah, it's a really strong community.
I could say this is pure Dig Brew and pure Birmingham in a way, like kind of creating these new things through collaboration and through.
Yeah, certainly.
Good. I think we've more or less reached our time limit.
Shall we evaluate?
Shall we evaluate what we've done? We did what is best. Yes, we did the characters, beer, the anecdotes, Middle English. Yeah, we're done.
Should we finish the whole podcast by?
Was this the run? Was this the dry run?
Yeah, why not?
In my head it was.
Well, but I think
it was
pretty
pretty
well.
good.
Yes.
We could leave everybody in untrouing game.
Yeah. To know if this was the kind of the trial or the good one.
No. It's either middle or dribble.
Oh, middle dribble.
Untrouing game.
I just wanted to read maybe the ode to beer to finish.
Sorry.
Maybe we can just have a kind of a long fade while I kind of read the ode to beer.
Okay, let's do that.
No? Or do you want to read the ode to beer?
I think.
No.
So give it spice or not?
Give it some spice.
Like, thou gifted mother helping us to sleep, thou wife of friendly courtship, new and old, whose history of goddesses is deep. How I'm doing for now?
Brilliant.
Okay. Pervading through the heat and biting or beating?
Biting.
Biting cold.
One thing though, just like, why are you saying this?
It's just to give it more dynamism.
I know, I mean, like, as your character.
I'm like, I'm not a character. I'm just trying to repeat.
Oh, okay.
So, from the beginning. Thou gifted mother helping us to sleep, thou gift of friendly courtship, new and old, whose history of goddesses is deep, pervading through the heat and biting cold, that takes the flowing waters hand in hand. I lost. To heal and cleanse the sour river formed, through processes we heard in hymns before, our scones that heaven blessed fully had planned. In equal measures, all should be informed. For being, no, this is the moment. This is the moment. For beer and all her gifts, I'll be a whore. With sweet and earthy scents imparting joy, the malted curdling stench is dense and thick. They trickle spice, enveloping your cloy. Around my heart and passions do you prick. Oh, do you like that? Like doing this? It's really passionate. Again. Around my heart and passions do you prick. For ale, you are my joy. Trusted kin, who heals the scabby scarfy life I live, and elevates to priestess from hag, the woman who so long have been in sin. And now I find, I'm just starting to have a little tear. And now I find this wall hangs from a crab, not crab, from a crab. Just imagine like hanging from a crab. Okay, this is like kind of the end. I should just do it with a good. And now I find this wall hangs from a crack. To stay a Brewster. I think you should say that because I'm not a Brewster.
No,
Brewster is a fair. Well,
no.
To stay a Brewster, all my soul I'll give. Taking the herb in her hand and holding it out in front of her. Accompanied Ratchet.
I think you must have been a Brewster in a past life. Oh!
I'm getting a cold. I think this is like
Perfect
the time
timing.
to finish. So we cheers to the camera.
Let's cheers to the camera.
With a ticka-ticka-ticka-ting.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Cheers.
Oh, to the camera. Oh, it's the camera.
Yeah, cheers to everybody.
Wait, we need to say like what's on next week's podcast.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Are we
we're
still
gonna have to
recording?
edit it.
Yeah, maybe what we can do is like with the
do a little
music.
promo now for next week.
In 3, 2, 1.
Come to the next podcast.
I can put like the little screen with now us saying, "Come to the next podcast!"
It's going to be about witches
And beer.
and beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come to the next podcast.
Come to the next podcast.
No, I mean, you cannot come. I mean, it's like listen to this podcast, right? I mean, this is just very
Yeah.
silly.
Sure. You can
No,
come and
we-
watch it in Dig Brew.
Well, the people watching don't realise is we have a huge crowd of
Oh,
Big
yeah, of course.
audience.
a huge audience
Yeah,
of people
let's put a
who
clapping.
have come to the podcast.
Ha 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 ha. That's really kind of laughter.
the editing is gonna be horrible to choose which one of these is the best one.
Should we stop now?
Maybe. Should we just do another promo just in case?
Okay.
So the next podcast is about beer and witches, and how those two things have very interlinked histories.
Yeah.
So tune in next time.
Exactly.
Good.
With some more dribble.
We'll play Drivel or Middle again.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Right.
cheers again. Okay, I think that was good.
Should we just use that?